And welcome back, everyone, to more BTL action as we get into Game 3 on a Wednesday. It's RareAdam alongside In Defiance here as MG Element and Spectre Gaming. My goodness, it gave us quite the show in Game 2. We'll see what happens in Game 3 because this series has been nothing short of spectacular from both of these sides.
Yeah, I'm really definitely enjoying this. I do like that Spectre Gaming ended up banning the Jinx, even though I think they'll look best on it, and obviously will probably be picked away from them. Um, and then we're gonna see a Shyvana ban as well, respecting Lig Shyvana pick, also getting rid of the Volibear, which is an extremely strong jungler, which can basically control the game.
Yeah.
Um, and so far mostly standard.
Yeah, very standard pickups thus far. The Nautilus actually just going to be first picked here this time for late game carry. It is a champion they are very confident on. Uh, and of note, the bans that come through the Jinx just going to be taken away this time. They don't want to give that over to Out of Blue, but the Xayah is going to come through now for HyperRef. And this is a champion that Xayah has been really happy playing in the past. It has been one of their most played, I believe, as well as one of their highest win rate champions this season in BTL action. So curious to see how this one works out.
I think it's actually a very good pick, especially like when it's picked like right after the Nautilus is picked, just because it's basically like, hey, I know you're gonna ult me, but I'm going to ult while you ult, so no one can hit me. So like it basically allows for more of self peel, which just allows HyperF to kind of do his own thing while his team is just kind of team fighting in general. And I think giving his team um, the freedom basically of that. It basically just opens up a lot of things for Spectre Gaming. We're gonna see an immediate Fiora lock in.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Kind of surprising.
Yeah, out of Venom, they did play the Fiora last week and had great effect. Honestly, against one of the or against Barbara's fan club specifically there, so they're feeling pretty confident about themselves. The Camille didn't go as well as I think we expected, but of course, live by the lake, die by the lake, as we've been saying. So this time around, maybe able to get a little bit more of a beneficial matchup, but the Caitlyn comes through for Out of Blue. No Aphelios this time around. They want to go for that lane domination, but Caitlyn has sort of fallen by the wayside a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Hmm. I definitely think Caitlyn's still good. It's just like obviously like the priority picks of Jinx Aphelios is really hard. I do not like the Nami pickup here, not necessarily because the Nami pick itself, but like if you're opting into support in this rotation, I feel like you're just asking, well, like, hey, sure, Lake may have some options for Fiora, but let's just go ahead and let MG Elements ban two of them out.
And it means that you get a better matchup on that top side of the map, unless Lake is playing Trundle top lane. You know, could
That
could
that
could
could be
happen.
it definitely could be the case.
But regardless, it's going to be the LeBlanc ban once again from Spectre Gaming.
Yeah, do you do
Uh,
you do you think King Annihilator is going to be playing a tank in the mid lane? Maybe Seraphine?
I do not think they are playing a supportive mid laner this time around. If anything, this draft to me is screaming Yasuo Fiddlesticks as their answer, or Yasuo plus something with a
Mhm.
knock-up, or Yone. We've seen King Annihilator pull out all of these picks before. It has been sort of in their wheelhouse to play these hard carry champions, and taking away the Veigar and the Victor as Please Don't Run It was saying in game one. Very safe mid laners. King Annihilator wants to get those off the table. Just wants to remove
Mhm.
the option for that. But the Viego as well actually going to be taken away from Runner 90 this time. So we'll have to see what
I,
they come out with their B45 picks here. But Spectre Gaming gonna have to or gonna have that pick first.
I almost kind of want to see them just go ahead and pick the RE. Go ahead and just pick something nice. Well, actually, they should
They can
probably
pick top
save their
lane.
last pick. Yeah, I was about to say for their mid laner. I guess it just depends on if you think King Annihilator might randomly play RE, might play something. So I guess all in all, saving like the counter pick for your bot lane's good.
Oh.
I'm assuming we will see this Graves go top. Um,
Yes.
just because Lake has obviously loved to play it in the past. I think both of them can obviously go either top or jungle here. Um, I'm just going to expect the Graves too. Um, and I'm very curious on what MG Elements is going to pick to try to round out their comp, because like the Fiora pick though is definitely not like really for the team. We're going to see a Fiddlesticks come in. Interesting.
Yes, and this is a pick that Runner 90 has sort of kept in the background for a lot of this split. They've played it. They're one of the only junglers to pull it out, and it's a pocket pick. So, I mean, in this situation, when you need AP, why not pull it out, especially when your mid laner is going to be Yasuo, right? Or Yone.
Yes, that's
right?
I was waiting for you to say Yasuo, and then he locks in Yone, and you're like, same thing.
Right, right. Ooh,
and it's a Kali.
None of the above. So King Annihilator are going to be pulling out the extremely aggressive, sort of salty run back in a way, pulling out the Akali in the mid lane here. Very curious to see how that's going to work out.
I don't know if I like it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Just walk me through what you think of it, and when they get their pick as well, you can add that on as sort of the argument for or against the Akali mid lane.
Well, it's more the fact that like they opted into like a bunch of I would say like skill matchups and whatnot, and then there's going to be the Malzahar pickup. But basically the reason I don't like it is because like a lot of it is based off of like zone control and like fighting in a certain area. But most of Spectre Gaming, I guess with the exception of Malzahar, depending on how when he ults, they've got a lot of options to basically like get out of, for example, the Crow Storm, or like they have some options to kind of like do something to like to prevent the Akali from one-shotting them, whether it be like the Zyra root, the Zyra ult, like just a really good pillar, tons of shields.
There we go. We're back. I just realized I went to the wrong screen. Yes! Old Fiddlesticks icon is there. My bad. Went to intermission instead of to draft. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah,
this
back.
other pick thing. Okay, I see what you mean now.
Yeah. You see Fiddlesticks there? It's
on the screen. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yes.
Especially because I'm like trying to remember when the Fiddlesticks tree work was like in comparison to some of the other reworks.
A year and a half ago. It has to
always.
It was after for sure.
That's what I was thinking.
The most curious thing is Zeri shows up on this, but Fiddlesticks can't get an updated splash.
I wonder if Casted has updated splashes on here for some reason.
That's another thing.
I doubt it.
We can test it out.
It's all for science.
It's all for science.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's just one of those things where I think both teams, it's going to be hard for some things to execute unless like the Nautilus starts getting the hooks.
Yes, I think that it's going to be really predicated on how Nautilus plays in this game, because Nautilus is a champion that if you like miss hooks or you fall behind, you are useless, because Nautilus take Glacial Augment or anything except for Aftershock at this point. I want to see the Aftershock come through, if anything, for Nautilus, especially when you're facing a very poke-centric lane such as Xayah Karma. But curious to see how things are going to work out in this matchup here. What's just a straight up prediction off of draft here once again, because this is a really interesting draft overall.
It's kind of hard to say. It's because like I kind of want to favor Spectres, but the problem is that they don't really have movement. Most of it's all of it is counter engage. Every single bit of it is counter engage to me. Like, because even like you got to be careful with like the Malzahar ult, because if you find someone that can split out and you Malzahar ult them, then all of a sudden your whole team is like Fiddlesticks ulted. So despite kind of what I was saying earlier, I think Spectre can pull it out, depending on how late the game goes. But I think NG Elements has a lot of tools to get those in the early game. So I'm still gonna say Spectre. We'll win it just because I win.
Right, so we'll see if Spectre Gaming gets the seal of gets the 2-0 prediction here actually for Defiance, or if it will be MG Element coming back with a vengeance. We're gonna just take a break here for a little bit while we get all sorted out for game number 3. But when we're back, this series has to have a winner. It can't be everyone. It's already the fans there watching on screen. One of these teams will come out on top. We'll be right back after And welcome back, everyone, to Game 3 of our series here today. RareAdam alongside In Defiance here for Game 3 between MG Element and Spectre Gaming. These two teams have put all of their blood, sweat, and tears on the Rift here, and now we're going to get another level 1 shenanigans here as MG Element, they've done this all 3 games. This time around, Spectre Gaming may have the upper hand here. We'll find out. This is going to be a curious turn of events here. But River, both of these teams haven't spotted each other out yet. Neither side knows where the other one is, and oh my goodness, like ships in the night once again, just kind of just walking around. This is curious. Oh no, Annihilator. Oh no. Oh no, walks up.
Did they see them? It looks like they're pinging. They saw.
They saw King Annihilator, that's for sure. But it looks like they're just gonna reset that and get out of there. So, oh my goodness, extremely scary stuff.
I think MG Elements did see somebody pop out of the bush for a second because they started spamming in the bush. Because I think otherwise King Annihilator like hardcore ends right there.
Really curious overall to see how that all played out, but. It's going to be Fiddlesticks starting on the bottom side of the map, getting a leash, which is interesting. Most of the time, Fiddlesticks don't need leashes too much, but looks like Runner90 just wants to play it as safe as possible. The ward will get spotted out, though, so now they know where the junglers are starting, actually on both sides here, so we'll have to see how the next phase of jungling goes. Will Fiddlesticks go for some sort of cheesy play, or Trundle even, or will it just be full clears? Most likely full clears.
It'll be most likely full clears. Though I have to admit, recently I did have like a game where I had a Fiddlesticks like gank me level 3. I was very upset about that.
I would be upset too.
I'm like, go full clear your jungle. It's your job. But you know, c'est la vie.
It happens, but bot lane this time around though, you know, with the Karma, not gonna have as much push priority as we would expect here because it is against the Caitlyn, who loves to shove that lane. And as we say that, both bot lanes hit level 2 exactly at the same time.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really helps is the fact that since you've got the Karma on the side of the Xayah, like the push pressure that Caitlyn normally exhibits is just not going to be there. So basically the pressure that they're going to have to go is based off of a Nautilus hook onto somebody into a trap. Until then, if Karma and Xayah play it well, they should be able to get constant like prio and like harass onto that lane.
And we'll have to see how where this Trundle sort of stakes their claim, because this top lane is going to be incredibly volatile. We've seen the sort of highs and lows of Lake and Venom in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
This time around, you know, Venom, they will outscale. They will be able to one-shot this Graves at a certain point because that's what Fiora does. She does that to anyone. Of note, though, Runner90 getting invaded here by SwagAsm. No fear. The Fear's already been used. Runner90 forced to flash out of there, but now Venom looking for the fight onto Lake doesn't have the Vital procced at all there, and it's going to be First Blood going over to SwagAsm on an incredibly puzzling play coming through from the side of MG Element.
Yeah, I honestly have no, like, it, you know, everything that happened that Runner did made sense. Unlucky, you got invaded, you know, you lose your camp, it happens, you know, your Fiddlesticks, you can't do much. But the fact that Venom with Flash Up kind of just ran in there shows that there's a lot of tilt going on.
Oh yeah, Hyper F though gets ignited, late game carry ignites and flashes out. It's gonna force out the exhaust. Red tries to make the hero play with the inner flame, but isn't gonna be able to get through Caitlyn's big booty there. We're gonna have to force the flash out of there as well. But my goodness, all the sums burn from the side of MG Element and Spectre Gaming. They've got momentum.
Oh, not only that, but Caitlyn's gonna have to walk literally all the way back to base.
Goodness.
Because Karma's just forcing the issue. So
Runner90
just gonna start now.
Yeah, Runner90's dead as well. SwagAsm able to find the kill onto the Fiddlesticks. This is going all wrong for MG Element in game 2 to start, or game 3 to start us off.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, man. Part of the reason why I really thought that MG Element's gonna lose this game is because they seem like they are a tilt-heavy team sometimes. I don't really see, like, I see like them as a team that when they're ahead, man, can they push their advantage. But when they get behind, I was not really ever sold on their like mental fortitude, and like it was even almost kind of shown a little bit from like, you know, after Venom had to deal with that game 1 against or the game 2 against Lake or whatever, you know, all of a sudden he does that puzzling play in the bot lane. Then SwagAsm does another invade that ends up getting Runner killed, and then also like, you know, Caitlyn Nautilus just wanting to be dominant in their lane, instead just giving advantages over to Hyper F and Red. And like so far, if the game stays like this, you know, like Spectre is no slouch late game, but so if they get an early game advantage, this could really look heavily in their favor.
Yeah, it could start to kilter very much in favor of Spectre Gaming, but thus far, 5 minutes into this one, 1,200 gold lead, not bad, to say the least. Of note, Hyper F going the lethality Xayah though. This is a build that has was very strong for like a day, then got hotfix nerfed, and then sort of fell by the wayside, and now that Xayah's rising back up in popularity, has started to come back up as well. Interesting to note, though, you've got a lot of serrated Dirks, or 2 to be exact, already built up. There's no front line, really, for the side of MG Element, bar your Nautilus, who took Aftershock, which I'm happy about, but it's also a Nautilus. They're not going to be very tanky for 90% of their engages.
Yeah, and then like you just think about like the armor pin's value, like you said, onto the champions that MG Elements has, and like until they have like basically the completed Zonias, they're gonna basically be chunked out heavily by Lake and HyperF. One thing I would really like to see is for Swagasm to honestly go to Dragon as soon as possible, because like I don't think that there's a good way for MG Elements to contest absolutely at all at this moment. So why not go ahead and take the Dragon? Why not start the timer?
Very curious to see how interesting the next couple of stages are going to be, or next couple of levels. As you mentioned, Dragon going to be a massive priority, and Swagasm playing the Trundle has that agency to take a very early Dragon. Of course, so does Fiddlesticks, but as it stands right now, I don't think Fiddlesticks is feeling confident enough to do much of anything before level 6, but bot side here, big wave getting pushed in. This isn't something that you see very often either.
Plate.
Xayah pushing in the Caitlyn and picking up 2 plates in lane.
Yeah, that's just the advantage of going basically Enchanter over melee as well. Especially when you get this armor pin Xayah going, you've got like basically close to infinite mana. You know, you've got the armor pin to help your Q like just push. You just like Q auto E basically. And then so we're gonna see Swagasm go ahead and start up this first Dragon here with the pressure that his lanes have. Even if Akala decides to come over, that could just be an Malzahar ult away from death.
Malzahar ultimate could be the deciding factor, but going to be moving down towards the Dragon there. As you can see, Lake, now level 6, has a little bit more agency up on this top side, but Venom with that, the Vampiric Scepter. My goodness, I cannot remember item names tonight. Vampiric Scepter has enough sustain in that lane now to stay relatively healthy, as does Lake, because that's what Graves does. Going to just drop that ult to clear the wave as well.
Yeah, these trades are just like massively in the favor of Xayah at this point.
Yeah, as they continue progressing forward in this bot lane, you know, Xayah's just going to still have the damage advantage. It's a Dirk versus 2 longswords effectively. Swagasm on this bottom side of the map going to zone out of blue and late game carry off of this tower as well. This feels so bad as a Caitlyn because your champion is designed to get an early lead and push it forward. I think it's just a known fact that Caitlyn, after 1 item, sort of falls off a little bit until she gets to 3-4 items. So curious to see that this is the way that they've played this out. And Out of Blue is going to have to play out of their mind to get back into this game, as HyperF just has all the tools to succeed this far.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so unfortunate too, is like you said, she's known as an early game bully, but then another thing she's known for is her mid game trout of just like lack of damage. I don't know if Nautilus really wants to go in here. All it does is kind of invite Caitlyn to be poked by more damage, because she's going to feel the need to trade back as well. Thankfully, she didn't take that much damage. There's just a little bit of a chip on Nautilus, so you know, all in all, like not too much loss there. Besides cooldowns, but we're also seeing Malzahar starting to threat like a little bit of a dive, realizing he has to go back mid. And that's one thing I really like seeing that Spectre is doing this game, is they realize that their bot lane has the push power, their bot lane has this poke power. You know, the first turret could easily go in their favor, so why not constantly add the pressure? You know, just have their jungler show up, have their mid laner kind of hover, and it just allows like this extra layer of safety for them just pushing in and taking all these plates.
Just able to continuously move in, look for the plays when necessary, and they're able to just get plates granted. The gold lead hasn't wavered much recently. A lot of that is due to Fiora getting back into this game, but Annihilator looking for some plays. Meanwhile, Hook on the bottom side of the map forces the flash out of Blue. What was meant to be a aggressive play from late game carry and Out of Blue ends up going against them because, surprise, HyperF is level 7 compared to your level 5 on the Caitlyn. This tower's almost gone as well. This is rough.
Absolutely brutal.
Oh my goodness. The poke is insane.
And not only that, like if I'm in this case, like of course, like you know, Xayah wants to back. You know, she's got gold too, but why would you back when you can just keep raining hell on this bot lane? It looks like Fiddlesticks is gonna start making his way there, probably for just, you know, another rinse of his jungle.
Yeah, but Annihilator's forced to flash out of there. Pillar comes down. Crunch is gonna come down as well. Swagasm able to pick up that kill. Unnecessary flash from Learning, but you know, you live and learn from that one, we want to say. And this game, it's not live by the lake, die by the lake. It's Swagasm all the way to the base, as well as Hyper F and Red just putting the hurt down. This is brutal.
Really got to hurt for Runner, like having basically like one of the best jungle games in the previous one, and in this game he just can't do anything.
All the lanes are in really unfortunate positions. So much control around the map from Swagasm, as well as this bot lane just being perma-shoved in. Caitlyn and Nautilus, you gank that lane and Fiddlesticks will die because they will be alone. They will be in the 1v2. It is so hard for late game carrying Out of Blue to catch up to the plays. Now bot lane turret already gone. This Xayah has the agency to now move top lane and pick up more plates if she so desires. Late can move around the map. Mid lane though, Annihilator looking for the kill. They've got the tools to be able to do that. That's going to be a kill worth a lot more than just what it seems like, picking up the shutdown as well as Lake now trying to stay alive. Late game carry going to move forward with that depth charge there. Venom able to dance around and find the grand challenge. It's a kill on the top side of the map to get Venom back into this game just a little bit more, but that gold lead still speaking for itself. 2,000 gold in favor of Spectre.
Honestly, just really greedy from the side of Spectre. It really should have just been at that point, like, you know Caitlyn's freezing bottom, and you should basically just have 5 men be able to pressure the Herald. So it should have been a free Herald, which you then pop mid lane to then take the free dragon. And like I think that setup for the macro play was there for them. Instead, we're seeing the gold actually swing back, not necessarily in the favor of MG Elements, but just into a more tenable state.
Yeah, they have to get themselves back on their feet a little bit and try and find some plays. King Annihilator is really going to be a enabler for that in a lot of ways because of the nature of Akali. You want to find these kills onto some squishy members, and this time they do have 3 targets to be able to take down. Lake is not going to be super tanky. They've got to pick their poison in terms of their resistances, so curious to see how it will play out.
So theoretically, after this dragon's taken, if it's Cloud again, that would be Cloud for all 3 games, right? Because was Cloud in the first game? I think it was Cloud Drake in the first game.
Cloud Soul first game, yes.
Yes, and I know it was Cloud Soul last game. It'd be pretty crazy if it was 3 Cloud Souls in a row.
It would be unfortunate.
It feels very unfortunate for every dragon stacking team. I set up for this!
Yeah, all my early game pressure for what? A Cloud Soul.
So I could be fast?
Granted, Cloud Soul's fun. It's really,
yeah, it's not bad.
It's fun. It's not good. It's
Ocean
fun.
Soul. It is.
Ocean Soul. Okay, so good soul.
And
Venom, though, looking aggressive onto Lake here. Will Lake be able to stay alive? No. The answer is no. As the Venom sort of turning around the tides and getting revenge from last game. This is personal at this point.
I don't like that Herald there. You just we're gonna see something go in the bot lane. Out of the blue, just not able to play this game.
Out of blue is dead. Late game carry now gonna get chased down. Swagasm is very tanky. Swagasm is gonna pick up that kill. Swagasm is gonna flash out of there and pick up this bot lane tower as well. 5-1-0 on the Trundle.
You know, now I vaguely like this play. Because before I would have rather gotten like the plates top and then try to get as many plates as you could have mid. But honestly I think that they're gonna be able to get a second turret out of this as well, which makes the Herald have a lot of value.
Runner might be going over the wall as well. Going with the Crowstorm. Gonna whiff though as Lake kind of sniffs it out, knows something is amiss.
Ooh, we got Xayah coming in. Honestly, I wish Xayah kept looking. I think that she could have gotten a free Fiddlesticks kill here.
Looks like she ends up backing off here. Of note, Runner still working on that mythic item. Still has not completed that. Neither has Swagasm. Granted, they have taken a little bit of a detour for tier 2 boots, as well as the Tiamat, as well as a couple more kills. So we should see that Sunderer completed in the next couple of minutes as well for themselves. So very, very interesting game plan overall. As it's still a 2,000 gold lead, but a lot of that gold now for the side of MG Element has gone into Venom, an unlikely hero. And on the flip side, Swagasm has really controlled this early game, but it is Trundle that all of your kills are going on to. The champion isn't necessarily known for their late game prowess.
Yeah, honestly, the thing is, for this game, it's really just going to be about side laning for MG Elements. Like, if MG Elements is able to side lane, they should be able to eke out more advantages than you'd expect. But basically, their team fighting is going to be extremely hampered with just like how far behind Xayah is at this point. Or I mean, how far behind Caitlyn is.
Yeah, and Annihilator just looking for the solo kill. That's going to be the... Ooh, my goodness, the Malzahar ultimate not going to be enough as King Annihilator just dashes on through, picks up that kill with the perfect execution. The Nether Grasp not enough to keep learning a lot.
Yeah, I really thought the that the E Shuriken from Akali there was going to end up hitting the minion from
Able to
Malzahar,
curve
but
it around.
yeah, so it goes to show how comfortable he is on this Akali pick.
And it's a champion that sort of fits the King Annihilator archetype. Not so much Galio, but LeBlancs, Akalis, these all-in sort of champions, these hard carry 1v9 champs, and thus far a pretty strong performance in the mid lane after a little bit of a hairy early game, especially first blood there. It ends up paying off quite well for them, but still sort of waiting for the next big fight, and I think that should come around this dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Gonna finally have Runner 90 with that ultimate and Mythic available. They might actually be looking for a play now, but it's just going to be mid lane turret picked up, so the turret
They
pushing
really have to be
still,
careful about not over pushing into this Fiddlesticks, though.
There's a significant advantage in terms of the pushing, tower taking from the side of Spectre Gaming, but as always, we have to keep our eyes on Venom, because this Fiora, you leave her alone for a couple too many seconds and she'll take your entire base.
Yeah, I think the biggest point of emphasis for the state of the game is going to be this next dragon. I think that if Spectre Gaming is able to get it with kind of like no hassle, I think things are looking extremely good for them. But if all of a sudden, like, there's like a team fight that ends up not going in their favor, or and we're gonna just see King Annihilator just not stopping.
Annihilator's looking to annihilate here, though misses the second half of the perfect execution. Do they have enough damage now? They're gonna flash forward. Ooh. No! Lake able to pick up that kill with the collateral damage, and it's just a game of inches thus far as King Annihilator goes down, and that could be the third dragon just be going over to the side of Spectre Gaming. They might be able to put themselves on soul point just off of that pick. Granted, Annihilator does have teleport to get closer to this dragon. Will they have enough setup with that member just respawning and teleporting in right away?
That's a good question. I think it really hinges on like if Fiddlestick's able to get a good ult, and if King Annihilator's able to like zone out, like kill one of Hyper F, or even Swagasm. I think those are the two key things you should see him looking to get after this TP. You can tell that they're looking just to get a pick here on out of the blue. They forced the TP out from Akali, so Akali's not able to get like a deeper TP. Not that there was one really for her to get. Yeah, and it's all just going to come down to this one moment. The Fiora TPing is interesting.
Yeah. Venom going to teleport in as well. We're just going to get a full-on 5v5. Almost expected, but these teleport angles aren't the best, and a lot of that's just due to King Annihilator dying on the top side, not being there to set up.
Fiddlesticks has a great angle here.
Down incredibly low. Runner 90 is over the wall, but can't smite it from where they are. They're not going to be able to secure this. It's going to be Crowstorm over the wall. Will secure it with the smite at the last second, and now they're going into everyone. But a huge blade collar comes back from Zaya. Will it be enough? No! Venom's going crazy in the backline. They may be taken down, though. Will they be able to find the healing? They'll find 2 kills, but it will be 3 for 3 on an incredibly split fight there. Out of blue finally able to get on the board. Runner 90 does a boatload of damage, but it's really the story of Venom on one side and Hyper F dealing so much damage with that blade collar on the other side. That fight could have gone either way.
Yeah, honestly, I really hated the decision to go ahead and try to chase the Fiddlesticks for a second. I think that right when they chased the Fiddlesticks, the Dragon could have just been, like, taken, smited real quick. Maybe there would have been a Crowstorm afterwards. That delays the timer, which is nothing but good for the side of MG Elements. Not only that, but I felt like they should have had vision on where he Crowstormed from. I'm not sure exactly if he Crowstormed closer to the top part of the red bush, but I do see, like, a ward on the end of that pit. All you have to do is make sure the other side is warded if possible, and then just be able to try to E the Fiddlesticks. Just anything to prevent the Crowstorm. But regardless, like, the Dragon is your point of emphasis there, not the enemy team.
Yeah, just an incredible series of events, I want to say, coming through, just in terms of the gameplay, because the Dragon goes to MG Element, the fight goes 3 for 3, you don't get the shutdown, you get the shutdown on the Fiora, you don't get the shutdown on the Trundle, you're able to find a kill on the Hyper F finally. It's just messy overall, but King Annihilator going for round 2 against Lake here. Perfect execution. This time you have to land the second half. Lake looking to dodge it away. King Annihilator is just waiting so patiently for their time to shine, but the hook back does mean, oh my goodness, doesn't actually end up using that second half of the perfect execution. Teleport going to come through from Learning to try and find this one. Nethergrass comes down. Lake will be able to stake their claim as Swagasm picks up their 7th kill of the game. Now this top tower is under siege, and Spectre Gaming, they've continued to hold this advantage for an incredibly long time. Rift Trail's going to take that top lane tower. Maybe they could have waited a little bit longer to drop that down.
I think they're just forcing the Baron.
Baron might be a possibility, if not out of blue. It's no one's close on this top side of the map. Fiddlestick's forced to back off. This will just be a Baron picked up by Spectre.
Yeah, that was a very, very good use of the Herald there. I think, like even when I first saw them drop it, I'm like, okay, they're going to go in, they're going to get the inner turret as well. Like, you know, that's the game plan. I see them immediately transition into the Baron that had just spawned. Great call by them, especially because they have the vision control and they just had the jungle control to where Fiddlesticks just could not contest, especially with who was on that side of the map.
Yeah, just incredible gameplay coming through, and it leads to about a 4,000 gold lead now for the side of Spectre Gaming. They've really been able to put on their carry shoes and look for the jugular here against MG Element. And once again, it's really up to how this maybe next dragon fight goes. It will be against Baroned Up, the Baroned Up buffed side of Spectre Gaming, but they still have a couple of angles to potentially push forward and make their claim on this game. It has to come down to Venom at this point, who's 2.5 items. They are the member to watch, I feel like.
I believe they are as well. The thing is, though, is I haven't really seen him gotten to get like a good, like, deep push on. The closest then was like while they were taking Baron, he's able to get an outer turret. As powerful as he is, I also see that he's willing to group, which is definitely not the playstyle you need out of the Fiora at this point, regardless of how well it looked during that dragon fight. This Baron pressure should just be immense, and honestly, like, the improved stats might be enough to help Graves deal with her as well, because like they both have TP.
They've got their teleports available once again for this fight, potentially looking for a better ward placement. And if we look at where the wards are, there is one behind enemy lines in the bush. I call it the armpit bush there in the bottom side jungle. So that's a good teleport ward to come through.
Yeah, honestly, it might be too far away even.
It could be, but when you think about
for Dragon, it's good.
An Akali, something like that, it may be the place to stay. But 40 seconds away from the objective. We'll see if they try.
10 seconds left on the ward.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to use that, unfortunately.
Karma, unfortunately, recalling right by that, you know, the Dragon Bush ward that is very key for this fight coming up soon.
It will be interesting to see how this dragon fight ensues, because we saw Runner 90 able to get the steal last time, taken down to half health already before the fight starts. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But Lake on this top side, Venom able to find the snake bite and pick themselves up a kill. And now you've got the man advantage. It's going to be a 4v4 dragon if you so desire, and just let Venom push, or it could be a 5v4 and a potential huge fight win here for MG Element. 3,000 gold in the hole right now. It's going to be the teleport in from Venom, level 15, but are they able to get in over the wall? It's going to be secured. King Annihilator with the QSS perfectly, but they're going to get taken down regardless. The teleport from Venom ends up not paying off, and Out of Blue has to flash away from the Featherstorm there. That's not the way that I thought that fight was going to go, and not the way that MG Element needed that fight to go.
I don't know if Venom's going to end up playing the side lane correctly and able to enable his team more. Sure, he can get a solo kill. Sure, he has the pressure. But I mean, if you're just going to TP to a dragon fight, you know, like, why pick Fiora? I think there are a lot of other champions that can perform, I guess, similarly. I don't think the team fighting angle is really it at the moment with its game state.
And it might have just been miscommunication as well, because King Annihilator went in way before anyone else was anywhere close. So unfortunately, it seems as if the communication may be the deciding factor. And Swagasm thus far, 8-1-1, has just been on point every single time, with just shutting out everyone else from joining the fight. And that's I think a really big part of it. The pillar was just so detrimental for letting Out of Blue, Runner, late game carry to move up even an inch without risking dying there. So we'll have to keep our eye on what the next phase of this game holds, and realistically the next big fight it's around Baron in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see kind of slow down to a lull while people just collect minion waves, finish up some items they have, clear wards. I think that's what we're going to see for a little bit, especially from the side of Spectre Gaming. They should definitely play like cool and collected, because so far the game feels pretty comfortable for them, I would say, with the exception of Lake having a side lane. But you can tell that Lake isn't necessarily playing for the side lane this game. That's why he rushed them all Balamordius, to be able to deal with the Ecology, to be able to deal with the Fiddlesticks. He wants the team fight. Unfortunately, so does the Fiora. And we're going to look for her to try to get another solo kill here.
Yeah, Lake does not have a way out this time. Unfortunately, Venom is just a little bit too strong in the 1v1 strictly there. That's the Ignite coming through from Lake, and Lake doesn't actually have Flash this game, so really tough. Hyper F, though, has already used that Featherstorm to dodge away from, I believe, just a random hook there as well, so not going to have that
used it to
utility.
Maybe burst out Caitlyn. Because he seems to be using it. He seems to be using it pretty aggressively this game. Yeah. Which, to be fair, the game feels very good on Zio when you're using your ult aggressively.
Yes.
Jesus. Fiora damage is a little nonsensical.
Yeah, Fiora is just a little bit strong at this stage of the game, but we'll have to keep our eyes on how the rest of this game goes, because Fiora can only do so much. And Dragon is now, or Baron is now spawning in about 20 seconds. No teleport on Fiora quite yet, so if she's going to be in this side lane, she really has to put the pressure on. But look where Swagasm is, still stuck on this bottom side of the map. This could just be an angle to try and look for something around Baron. You've got to try and start making plays, and you can see the pings coming down. You know what they're trying to do. Swagasm sprints up to that top side of the map. They're trying to find a play. Hook comes down onto Red here. Gonna be late game carry getting out of there, but the fear coming through onto Red. Red's taken down. Venom's here. Didn't even need to teleport up. Looking for the play. Will get taken down, is learning. And now the depth charge comes down onto Lake and Swagasm. They've caught out Swagasm here. He might be taken down. Finally, the Trundle goes down. The raid boss is down. It's a 4-for-1 in favor of MG Element, and they are the ones to find the fight that matters at most. And they are going to look towards this Baron now. Will they be able to get it with Lake alive? Who knows, but they're definitely going to try.
Yeah, they should be able to pretty easily. I don't really know what the point is in kind of chasing the Fiddlesticks off, and then because somebody else walks up, you chase into the Fiddlesticks yet again. Very questionable by the side of Spectre Gaming. I'm surprised Hyper F ended up going down so easily. He still had Flash. I think his ult was even back up, unless it just came back up during the death. But like overall, just really, really sloppy by Spectre Gaming. I think feeling a little bit too far ahead at the moment, and letting the game state and the lead kind of go to their head. Not respecting the Fiddlesticks enough.
Somehow, despite a huge fight win, gold lead is still in favor of Spectre Gaming, and their Ocean Soul is spawning in 30 seconds, so it needs to be a quick reset, a quick refresh on everything. Try and find Fiora a good angle in this fight to try and pick up this dragon. Granted, Spectre do have the agency to back off of this dragon, let it pass, and try and find a fight another day, another time. Will they do that? We'll find out. Swagasm already here on the site. Late game carry, just making sure the button works, Got to make sure your hooks are working for these fights here, but already they have set it up. Runner 90 once again behind the
Karma.
pit. This is a very split fight. Karma's just walking through mid lane. Here comes Runner 90, though. Gets the fear onto two members. Lake is almost taken out immediately, but Runner 90's taken down. Akali's taken down as well. It's a disaster in the river. Never mind. Out of blue moves forward aggressively. Able to find another one. The Ignite will tick down. It's a 3-for-3, but that's 3 Baron buffs gone. This might be favoring Spectre Gaming just a little bit, unless Venom can find the chase down. Red Smite taken. Late game carry. My goodness, that hook was well wide of the mark, but Swagasm will still fall eventually. Late game carry.
Honestly, a lot of that comes down to the fact that I have no idea where Karma was.
Red was in no man's land.
Like, Karma was all like, yeah, I know Dragon's about to spawn, guys, but I'm gonna go ward Baron. Like, I don't really know what she was doing, because she wasn't even really warding that area as well. She was just really like so far up that it just really hurt her team more than anything. I don't know if basically maybe she kind of dragged some people of MG Elements like more upwards than expected, because like that setup looked good for MG Elements, and yeah, they definitely secured the team fight win and the objective, but that was all without Karma there.
It was effectively almost an even fight 4v5. Spectre Gaming played that as well as they could.
Kind of.
Without the karma. Of course, that's all that has to be said, yeah.
Because they got sandwiched into a fiddlesticks ult, and all I could think of is, man, Monster E in this team fight like probably could have been just like heavily won in Spectre's favor. Just very, very, very interesting decision making from Karma.
Regardless here, it isn't the end of the world for Spectre Gaming. This Baron expiring in 30 seconds, they still have the gold lead. Granted, the gold leads at this point, if it's 1,000 gold at 30 minutes, no one cares. That's the difference between control wards and not having control wards at that point. It is negligible at this point, but regardless, Out of Blue now sitting on 3 items. This is important because we talked about how Out of Blue, you get your first item, you end up in a power trough. Now they're starting to creep back up into relevance, and after an awful laning phase, they are ahead in gold compared to Hyper F here at this point. Up about 800 gold, and a lot of that's just due to side lane farming, playing the game slowly, getting themselves back into it, and letting Venom do work on the side lane. Of note, 4 completed items now, plus the stopwatch for Venom. They will not lose the 1v1 very easily against the likes of Lake.
Yeah, I just think that, like, one thing that Spectre needs to remember is that they don't have a lot of good engage options. Their team is basically mostly counter engage. And it seems like a lot of these fights, yes, it is MG like engaging on them, but it's also, you can also tell that it's Spectre wanting the fight. Like, they come inwards, they go like kind of like, oh look, maybe we can hit this guy or engage, and then all of a sudden the fiddlesticks hits them, all of a sudden everything else hits them. So like, in a way, they're getting counter engaged with their awful engage, when really they just need to make sure that like they're kind of daring the enemy team to go in on them, and then preparing for the eventuality of it, and then just backing off kind of.
Just sort of backing off the play, letting things ride. It is a curious case nonetheless, but we'll find out what the next sort of big fight will be. And, you know, this is the point of the game that happens a lot, where you have Baron and Dragon spawning back to back, and both of them are incredibly important at this stage of the game. You know, for one side, you're going to get potentially your own soul point. For the flip side, it's Ocean's Soul. For one, it's Baron that could end the game with how many structures you've taken. On the flip side, it's Baron to get a couple inhibitors, maybe push to end the game as well, because death timers are getting so long. We're at a crossroads here, and it's really dependent on who will pull the trigger and who will find the right fight. And a lot of the times here, it will come down to Runner 90. If they find a great ult and they're able to stopwatch in the middle of 4 members, perfect. If you find the ult onto 1 member and they kill you right away, a lot to be desired. And a lot of the weight does come down to Runner at this stage. It's all about this Fiddlesticks ultimate, which is realistically, across the course of this entire game, the only true team fighting ultimate.
One thing I've definitely been surprised about is how well Venom's been playing this game, making Fiora look like a team fighting absolute monster. I don't know if like the meta is different to the point where Fiora is just a team fighter now, like, you know, with the different item builds, like where she can just be like, I guess, tankier than expected. Maybe it's just the lack of CC and options, and the fact that, like, you know, the Fiddlesticks creates a lot of chaos in the fights. But man, Venom is in an absolutely fantastic position right now with the Death Dance, with the Blithering King, has the fully built GA, and a stopwatch on top of it. Those are just a lot of options that make her so hard to lock down.
It's effectively 5 seconds of invulnerability with your 2.5 seconds from stopwatch, 2.5 seconds from GA. Yes, it's invulnerability because you're just respawning or whatever, but it's a lot of ways for Venom to just be really pesky. You have to kill him 3 times effectively with how many health bars he's going to be able to heal up as well. So you're going to have to keep our eye on how Venom plays this out. Runner, though, already taken a decent, healthy chunk of poke to start this fight off, as Baron has already spawned. As we said, Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. You've got to find a fight now for MGL.
Karma! Go with Spectre! Karma!
Yeah, Red is a little bit out of position here. Out of Blue, gonna try and take advantage of that! Oh my goodness, Red taken down to about 500 health there. Will heal up with the plans, but yeah, as you were saying, just Karma, stay with the team.
Yeah, Karma keeps doing some very awkward positional mistakes that is really like hurting Spectre here. And it seems like she might even recall.
Venom!
Oh no, and then Lake is also going to get soloed.
Yeah, Lake's going to go down. Venom able to find the play that's massive. You get 550 extra gold. Now Venom teleporting into this fight, looking for Swagasm, already forcing that flash out. Venom wants to try and secure this dragon first. Teleports into zone off Swagasm all the way, and this should be a guaranteed dragon. If they start it now, you know, start the dragon. Venom just trying to play a little bit sneaky here. Stop out RareAda, but so strong in this front line, has no fear, holding off 4 members on their own effectively.
I'm kind of surprised by what Spectre Gaming doing. I figured they would just go for the reset, play safe, or even like go for like a almost Baron, or at least like Baron Vision. Instead, they're kind of just gonna like hang around, you know, like recall. And at this point, I think the MG elements can just walk up straight to Baron and take it.
They're looking for it here. They've got the 3 Ocean Dragons here. That's nothing to scoff at. It's a lot of regen outside of Soul even, but Swagasm, no flash to get over this wall, has to walk around. This is going to be tough. There's traps laid down. Baron's down to half. Swagasm looking for the play. He's going to get ulted on here. Going to get feared up. Swagasm's going to go down here. Out of blue, able to find that. Now Lake coming around from the corner is going to get knocked up on the blast cone. They have no way out. It's going to be the collateral damage, but it's not enough. Lake staying alive forever, though. Out of blue needs to be careful. Out of blue stays alive just long enough. Will end up going down to the Ignite there. But on the back end of that, Venom stalls out 3 members forever by so much time. An MG Element. They end up getting the extra kill, but they don't get Baron.
Yeah, honestly, not the worst thing in the world for Spectre Gaming, considering how absolutely doomed that started out. It really started off with like I would say just a straight up pick on Swagasm, and the ensuing team fight, in my opinion, just went one-on-one after. So like, even though it was a 2-for-1 for MG Elements, I feel like Swagasm was just almost doomed to die. He went on the hero mission, killed himself to make sure they didn't get the Baron, and like it's so thankful they were able to stop it. One thing that's so unfortunate is that they were unable to blow any cooldowns from Fiora. She doesn't have the stopwatch anymore, though. She has the Hullbreaker. The thing is, though, is I almost feel like she got more value from the stopwatch than the Hullbreaker, because I don't know if she needs any more help in the 1v1, and she's definitely not really utilizing the turret pushing power runner.
Did she use the stopwatch?
No. I looked at it when she was being chased on. I was surprised that she got out with so little health, and still didn't use the stopwatch, and still had GA, and still had flash. That's why I was saying that, but then I see she went for the Hullbreaker, and red.
Red almost steals that away. King Annihilator is the one to pick it up. Runner 90, though, over this wall is out of vision. Will they end up pulling the trigger? The answer is no. Of note, Hullbreaker is a very broken item, though. It's 100% gold efficient. And then
even without the stats, right?
Yeah. Just the stats. Just the plain stats on the item, 100% gold efficient. When you put it in the side lane, that's where it gets a little bit silly in its own right. So Venom picking that up, not the worst case scenario. If they're grouped up, they're going to get 100% gold efficiency. If they're on their own, they're going to destroy the 1v1 even more. And looking at this map at this point, there haven't been very many turrets taken. This Hullbreaker, despite it being last item, gets a decent amount of value.
True. It's just like, I don't know if I'm going to see the bonus damage of it come through unless they've won a team fight to win the game. Because, like, there's been some points this game that I'm surprised that Venom hasn't just, like, ran away with, like, an inhib or something.
They've been playing for the team, and I think that is a valiant thing. Sometimes you just have to say, me top, me push, me inhib, something like that. Just go full monkey at that point, and realistically, this would be the time to do so. Still about 100 seconds out from Soul for both of your teams here. You know, you've got your full build. So does Lake. You've won the 1v1 this entire game. Lake hasn't stood a chance against you here. Just push. Venom. Get that venom in your blood there. Get that ice in your veins. Just push, I think, at this point. Look at the setup coming through. Oh my goodness. They are stalking prey in the enemy jungle here. They know they've got the vision advantage. They are waiting to see where the next fight will happen.
You can tell Lake is so tentative to pushing it all. He's like, I can't go there. The minion lives by a bush.
Yeah, it's risky. It's risky business. Lake has to play so carefully. Like, Venom's just like, yeah, I'm not there. They will get swatted out on an extremely deep ward now, but now Lake can't even go up to the wave. Meanwhile, bot side, though, late game carry taken down to about half HP. This is what happens with the Nautilus, although at this point in the game, getting a little bit tankier. You can see Venom staying on this top side of the map. Soul for both of these teams is spawning in 40 seconds here.
This is whoever wins this team fight, this is about to be the game.
This could be the game here, and I mean, if it's not the game and it's against Soul, against everything, all the more power to you. But Venom in this 1v1 here just gonna go for it. Lake doesn't stand a chance. Look at the true damage coming down. Venom finds the kill against Lake exactly as expected. Now comes the fight. What do you
honestly,
do?
Venom can just win the whole game right here.
Venom can win the game. Out of blue, though, pushing forward so aggressively. HyperF looking for the damage. Will they be able to find a good blade code? Vanner in the backline with the Crow Storm is able to scare off everyone. Massive play from Runner 90. We said it was all down to that ult. They find their first 2 kills and their only 2 kills of the game. And MG Element win an absolute banger of a game in 40 minutes. What a series from both of these teams, but MG Element are going home on the win.
It's actually surprising to see them pull it out, but man, MG Element just is very tenacious in this game. Eked out every advantage they could, but man, a lot of it is just, as much as I was before giving so much credit to Spectre's late game shot calling, a series of extremely questionable plays from multiple people. I think like if Graves was basically playing like he was earlier, like right then, earlier in the game, then we probably could have seen like him maybe TP, then like a fight go around, but then he was just getting solo killed, and man, Venom just absolutely just took over that game.
Absolutely crazy performance out of Venom. Wow, just what a series from both of these teams. Both of them giving it their all, and game 2 and 3, they were down to the wire in both of them. Could have gone either way. This could have easily been a Spectre 2-1. It could have easily been an MG Element 2-0 in that vein. So really, really strong performance from both of these teams. Just absolutely incredible gameplay. Whew, that
was crazy. I didn't even get to watch all of that. I was in the middle of a game, but that went so long. What a banger of a game. That looked like it was crazy close.
We should do this more often on Wednesdays, I guess. It's something, something in the water. Something in the water. I don't know.
Whoa.
You can say that to everyone but Ito and BTL. Everyone would be like, yeah, let's do it. Ito's like, please no. You don't understand.
I don't enjoy getting up work and being like, oh, right. That's right. BTL. But if it, I mean, I do like that teams do have the agency to make sure that they have their full roster and we get as good of a game as possible, as opposed to if it was forced to be on the weekends, that we would be forced to see teams with not their full strength. So I do appreciate that aspect of it. Yeah. And it is good whenever we do have awesome casters like who we had come through today. Whenever RareAdam, thank you so much. In Defiance, I believe earlier we had the team captain WCU Rams came through and did some color casting for us, I believe, in game 1. So I do appreciate that. It makes the weekday games a lot more hype. Also, on your screen, I'm not sure if you had a chance to really talk about it yet, you may see that there's a little logo beneath our logo up there. It's Speed Robo Games. We do, in fact, have a sponsor now. We also have a command, Speed Robo. In the chat, that is a friend of mine, runs a company where did I just mistype my own thing? Oh no, there it is. There's a company that makes card games, both physical and digital, indie game developer and publisher. You can go to his website speedrobogames.com to find out more. They're releasing a new expansion pack for their current card game System Gate at the end of April, on April 30th, and we do love the support that we get from Speed Robo Games, and I would love to support them as well and their card games. I enjoy playing card games like Legends of Runeterra, and I know that we have some, I think Yanni is a big Magic the Gathering player, so yeah. I know there's lots of other card game players in the Discord, so figured that this would be a good opportunity to shed some light on an indie game developer making card games. And do we get an interview? Do you guys want to do an interview?
We can do an
interview. I'll always do an interview. I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure somebody in MG Elements wants to.
Okay, well, I gotta go back to it because I'm mid-round, so I should go back to what I'm doing because my team's gonna play me. But if you guys would like to do the interview, then I just want to say that thing about the Speed Robo Games. Also, I believe I told all the captains roster submissions are due by the end of tonight. So by the time I go to bed tonight, tomorrow morning, I'm no longer accepting roster changes. So if you have any roster changes for playoffs, be sure to get that form in by tonight. And yeah, I'll let you guys do the interview and we will be out. All right, peace. That's all I have to say. Peace out.
All right. As quickly as he came in and he's gone. Who do you think deserves the interview from this game? It's hard to say after such a hard fought series. And
I am dragging the 2 people who are in their chat right now.
Who are you choosing? Which
left? Is Out of Blue and Late Game Carry. Thank you for joining us in the interview booth here, and congratulations on a hard-fought series, both of you.
Yeah, it was definitely a banger. That's for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
So out of the blue, what do you take to be able to not be like tilted out of your goddamn mind
Oh,
after?
I definitely was. Like when I was O2, definitely like was out of the game. Like I literally told my team, just play for top. And then the the carry and Venom just really carried that fight when we were down 0-2 Dragon, and then we got that 3 for 3. Really turned the game around. Built my
Yeah,
confidence up, and then
I was just
the
like,
rest was
man,
history.
I don't know how like Blue is gonna be able to play this game, especially once like Karma was like zoning you off the minion wave. I'm like, this is the moment that I can detect complete and utter tilt. And then like, of course, the turret finally goes down. I see you freezing, and it's like, yep, he's just at this point, it's just he just needs to get as much farm as he can.
Yep.
Caitlyn's got such a power trough at like that point in time that it's like you just have to pray that your team can hold on.
Yep. Yep. I'm really thankful that the Zaya was able to break turret pretty early because then I could just freeze for a couple minutes and
True.
actually CS a little bit. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I feel like if she were able to, if they were able to keep the turret for longer, they could just perma dive us. There's no
Mhm.
way we ever live dive.
And then just by basically doing that, they had to like change their whole game plan around, and then you guys were able to, and then like also the turret being gone, and since like Blue was just like bot lane freezing. You were also unlocked to just be like, finally, I can leave this lane.
Yeah.
Get me out. I want to throw hooks.
I honestly didn't do like us. I mean, it wasn't too hard to go top, because he had no flash. But mid lane, it's a Malzahar, so and Trundle was there a lot. So, but I really felt like I didn't do anything that game. Oh my god, it was just I
Well,
was
they
placing
had.
wards and going like I was a ward bot. I didn't even place as many wards as Karma. It was just like, oh my.
Well, I mean, like the thing is, you were always there for your team. You always have the ults, and then like you also didn't have some interesting moments. I'm still gonna point out. Like there's one time where everybody's at dragon fight, and I just see Karma by Baron that's already gone, and I was just mind blown by
Oh
that
yeah, I don't know what
statistic.
she was doing there. Yeah.
I was literally losing my mind, like absolutely losing my mind at that. Like I was just what are you doing? Like I don't even see you putting any wards over there either. Not that there
Right.
should be wards over there. Ah, that was just so tilting
Right,
for me.
because then we got the reset off at Baron and we're able to just run straight at Drag, and then she was out of position. So
Honestly,
Yeah.
like it just my favorite part about it is like you guys just had a lot of patience because I expected Runner to like kind of pull the trigger a little bit early with its ult sometimes.
Mhm.
Like because there's a lot of times where it's like, oh look, they're kind of grouping at you guys, and then he would just hold it, and then he would just hold
Yeah,
it.
we were
He'd get tanked
waiting.
out a little bit, and he would go away, and then he would still hold it.
Yeah, we were waiting for the Fiora to split push top. So as soon as she like every, t- e- I mean, Graves was doing his best, but kind of it's hard. Like at that time, like you really Graves can't be anywhere near Fiora. Like I think if Graves just grouped as 5, we would have been on a much like we wouldn't have had that same timer because Graves
Mhm.
can never match the Fiora. So I think if Graves grouped at drag, we wouldn't have been able to have Fiora split push for as long as she did because she just 1v1'd and killed him pretty much instantly every time.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. Every single time we were able to fight, it was basically a 4v5 because Fiora would 1v1 the Graves.
And I also I just think that you guys ended up being like much more patient than you guys probably felt in the moment. 'Cause I know bot lane, you guys were just like, please get me out. I'll see you guys next week. Just get me out of this game.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, like I just remember I was mind blown. Like you ended the game 8-3-5. I remember also seeing you like 5-2-2, and I was like, how is it legal for Caitlyn to have this score after
For sure.
like after having to endure that early game? And like it just amazes me how like some AD carries can like play that patiently because like like it's just the role where like once that happens you just consign to life at that point,
Yep.
and like you just really turned it around.
I think
And
it's team game.
and like who was making the calls to group with Venom? Was Venom just wanting to group because like he knew Graves was down, so he's like I can be here, I can team fight. Was it
It
just
was
because
like
like
it was the entire team.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, it was pretty much the entire teams. Essentially, we asked Kyle or Venom. We asked him what's our plan? Like how do we play around you? And he's like he just said to let him do the 1v1, and we kind of posture and don't get like engaged on because they don't have a lot of engage. They have Karma
Mhm.
Trundle, but if we're not caught out by Trundle Pillar, which is not too hard, then we can't really get engaged on. Other than Malzahar flash ult,
Yeah,
but so we as soon as the call was just
Mhm.
to allow him to split push, and then as soon as he reached a tower or whatever, then we could we could force the 4v4 because he always had TP up when he was doing that.
Mhm.
He was very good about his timers.
Yeah, because I was kind of surprised to see how much he team fought. And even then, he was team fighting very well. Like, I remember I wasn't really liking it in the beginning because I was like, he's got so much pressure and he's just smashing these lane, like, the lane at this point that I expected he would just take an inhib at some point. It would have just like, and then eventually there'd be another inhib and then he was just going to be a split push monster. But instead he kept team fighting and then like getting you guys dragons, like, and you guys were just like winning the team fights because, Graves would be late or his
Right.
TP would already be down or he would just be respawning, stuff like that. So I remember in the beginning I was very I was just questioning like how much he was grouping. I felt like he was kind of maybe over grouping a bit, but then
Right.
like he would run into the middle of like 3 people, kill like 2 of them, like live and then like queue over the wall, or like I think I saw 3 people like chase him at one point while he had like GA and the stopwatch and everything. They still couldn't kill him. Still couldn't even burn his flash. Couldn't burn the stopwatch. Couldn't burn the GA. And at that point, I just knew Venom was going to be a problem.
Right.
Actually, I
He
knew it
was.
way before then. He was a problem way before then.
We thought that the reason why I think he grouped we kind of it was a call to have him TP at third drag because we thought that we were relatively strong and we just barely scraped by with like a 3v3, and I think that was a big turning point in stopping like their soul.
Mhm.
Because by the time soul had come around for either of us, he was hard winning the 1v1. So
Yeah, I definitely like that you guys noticed that like they just didn't have like enough engage because it was something I kind of called out beforehand. But like once I thought they were ahead, I thought that if they played the dragons out like around vision control and whatnot, they'd be able to like since they can counter engage so well, I figured they'd be able to get the dragon and do all this kind of stuff. But it seemed like I don't know if it was just like because like game 3 feelings or because of the previous game they were just like so ready to try to engage on you guys. And like you guys were like, you're not supposed to do that, and then you would smack him in the face, and I was like, well, okay. It seems like MG Elements knows how the game's supposed to be played at this point. Um, and yeah, it's an impressive bit of endurance from like your bot lane. I mean, like you guys both had like together 6 deaths in a 40-minute game after that early game.
yeah,
I
but
feel like you guys died
yeah.
what 4 times in like 5 minutes or something like that. So in like 35 minutes, you guys only died like one more time or something like that.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, I was very surprised how yeah, after that early game it felt doomed.
Mhm.
But we knew that the split push would eventually win the 1v1, so our game plan was just stall drag as long as possible and wait until we had to stomp in the 1v1 because
Mhm.
they either had the match or had the group, and I think if they grouped it would have gone a bit differently, like if Graves just went. But it went how it did, and we pulled out a win, a very close one.
So I've got a kind of a question, and there's no actual flame meant by this. But like, do you think Runner has kind of returned a little bit more to form in a way? Because I know in like some of the previous weeks, like it felt like he felt like maybe there was too much on his shoulder, so he's trying to do too much. And I kept seeing him kind of like over engage, like get a little bit too far, playing a little aggressive, and like his KDA like suffered heavily. And then like all of a sudden, I didn't really catch the first game, but I caught the second game, right? And then like it took literally the game ending for him to finally die on that Viego. Like he had an absolute monster
Yeah.
performance. And then like this game, like he was just like it was just honestly it sucked for him probably as much as it did for both of you guys bot lane. So like I was kind of surprised like from a calm and a tilt perspective that you guys weren't just like done like that, like
Yeah.
you guys didn't just put in a FF vote at 15 or whatever, because like it was kind of impossible for Fiddlesticks to also play the game, and then he ends up 2-12. So like, do you think he's just like starting to play like better and better again, or like, do you think it was just like unlucky previous weeks, or?
We had versus Ishtar when we had to sub out 2 players,
Mhm.
and the weeks, let's see, there were like 2-ish weeks where we played like like our full roster played together like once over the
Mhm.
course of like a couple weeks, and so we were very unpracticed, especially going into the DPS game as well. Um, Although DPS is very good, so I will
Mhm.
give them that. And I think it would have been a bit closer if we were more practiced. Like if we meet them in playoffs again, I think it'd be a closer series. But yeah, against Barbas and against Spectre today, we were feeling a lot better because we've been had a little more practice. Although
Mhm.
our BTL games are pretty much back to back, or were pretty much back to back.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that you guys look a little bit more at, like the early weeks MG Elements
Mhm.
as like it's progressing again. Because I was a bit worried that pretty much like the sub would happen, right? Then like it's an unfortunate series. Then you have to go against DPS where you have something to prove. Then it's like another unfortunate series, and like that kind of starts to snowball a bit. That snowballs on like players' minds. Like how they need to play with maybe comps, and like sometimes like there's sometimes I guess like over over like an over rework kind of like on like what you guys want to do, but then it
Mhm.
seems like you kind of found yourselves again recently. And
Right.
like do you think that was kind of the case? Do you guys feel like you guys were playing with a little bit too much pressure on you guys like the previous 2 weeks just because like the unfortunate circumstances, and then also just really wanting to prove something against DPS? Do you think that made you guys play like a little bit more desperate than normal?
What do you think,
Uh,
Sam?
I think there's like some pressure with that.
hmm
But I still think we're like probably the best team in BTL.
hmm
But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I definitely look forward to you guys having a rematch with DPS.
Yeah,
yeah.
that should be a good game.
But congratulations on the win once again, and yeah, thanks for joining us for this interview.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks for
absolutely.
catching us.
Thanks for having us.
No worries, but great series overall from today. Defiance, any last thoughts?
I enjoy watching these games.
All right.
BTL is always fun.
Always fun, as always. But of course, we will be back on Saturday. We'll confirm when those games are. I don't know if this one was rescheduled from Saturday or Sunday, but regardless, we will be back with more BTL action this weekend. But thank you to everyone for sticking with us through all of that. And if you have any other questions or if you have any comments, join the Discord and let us know so that we can improve the streams and make them better. But other than that, that's it. Good night, everyone. Take it easy.